Hello, my name is Jasmine Jones. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And today this is a show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Wicked, and we are sipping on cream de cacao, oat milk, and Kahlua. Yes, this is our seasonal drink that we pull out. Usually it's just vodka and some juice. But for a minute there, I was drinking absinthe, just because. Anyways, how y'all doing? So, I watched the movie. It was amazing because I love Wicked. It is amazing. But just some, warnings before we move forward, because a lot of times when I review like shows that a lot of white folks like to watch, I get a lot of views and I get a lot of new people. Usually I'm reviewing shows with black leads, so I got a lot of reviews when I did, or a lot of views when I did Interview with a Vampire, the first 2 seasons, and Euphoria. And I'm sure that following along with that pattern, I'm going to get more views by reviewing this movie, which a lot of white folks like, and so it doesn't matter that the main character is black. So I like to represent mental health and black Americans and black people in general, and the black diaspora or African diaspora, and how it affects black folks in general, how mental health can look in various different black people. And I do that in a fun way by reviewing black movies and relating to how those people in those movies kind of represent the diaspora in certain ways when it comes to mental health and things like that. So that's out the way. And then also, I said this in my last video, I am not a fan of Cynthia Erivo. I do not like what she said about black Americans, and calling our AAVE ghetto, and going on some rant about like black Americans in film, and how because someone said something about British Americans playing black parts and all this, British black folks playing back. I don't fucking know, but I'll leave what she tweeted. And so I haven't liked her ever since. She did a half-ass apology where she never really apologized. She just said some things along the lines of, I would never say hurtful things. And then she came back around and said something about, I was naive, but I still think that, and it was never really I'm sorry I said this, it was hurtful and wrong situation. So I'm not a fan of hers, and so because I'm not a fan of hers, I used other resources to watch, because I'm not spending money on people that I'm not a fan of. And I waited a week for this move to review this, so that they still, I don't get enough viewers for it to really affect people going to the movies or not, and they got enough money already. So I always just push for, if you don't like somebody, you can always find other resources to watch their shit in order to enjoy the magicness of the movie that you enjoy, that you've been waiting for them to make a movie about since the play came out. But those are the 2 top things that are probably going to get critiqued. So I stand on business. I mean what I say what I mean. So I'm not her fan. I just don't fuck with people like that make fun of my culture and wear it like a cape and a costume, and then belittle and down my people who basically, after slavery, had to sew together the scraps of the remaining African cultural things, native cultural things, white cultural things, and create our own culture. And we had to work really hard to do that, and for it to be taken and laughed at. I mean, even the Caribbeans did that. The black Caribbeans that were enslaved had to take a lot of African culture and native culture and white culture and create something for themselves as well. And to have it, have black American culture be disrespected and looked down upon, like we didn't work really hard to individualize ourselves from these people that stole us from our countries and things like that. I don't vibe with that. So that out the way, let's get into the movie review. So anyways, it was a good movie. They played their parts. I will say this though, Ariana Grande got some Botox. Her face did not move because I kept looking at her and I was like, "Why is this shit?" Because she's played ditzy before, and I'm just like, she was ditzy the whole Victoria Justice run. Like she knows how to play ditzy, and I was just looking at her like, "Why is she like bland and her face isn't moving and her forehead's not frowning, and all we get is this weird ass hair toss every time?" And then I was like, "Oh, she got the Botox or some shit's going on," and so that was the only like real critique is like she played that part very bland because she couldn't move her face. And but otherwise the singing was great, the dancing, the choreography, the color. Cynthia Erivo did a good job. She sang them songs like she was supposed to sing them. And so let's get into the nitty gritty of the movie and the story. I might mention the book occasionally just because like it's different from the book in very important ways, in very different ways. It's more of a simplified version of the book. So I read the book like an undergrad, and I remember vaguely like she wasn't like, she didn't melt from water. She had like this allergic reaction where she would get this rash, and she would like bathe herself with like these oils and like scrub herself with like dirt or some shit. I don't remember, but it was like that shit stuck out to me because I thought it was gross. But then I was like, well, she's allergic, so she's gonna be getting rashy every time you take a shower. So it is what it is. I remember that Galinda, whatever the fuck her name, she was a bitch. And I didn't like her character at all, period. And I think she was actually worse to her in the book than she was in the play, and in the movie. But anyway, so this story is about Elphaba. She is the Wicked Witch of the West. We start the movie off with her as a child. Well, we start the movie off with aftermath of her being killed. We still don't know in the book arc, the whole book arc. So in the books, Elphaba's like the ghost that haunts everybody, and she's constantly brought up, and people are not 100% sure she's dead. There was even in one of the books like a reversal spell done on her granddaughter. She has a granddaughter at some point. And the granddaughter turns from, human colored back to green, like the dad had put a spell on her to hide her greenness. And so they think that at that point, the reversal spell reversed everything that was, done. It was the undoing spell or some shit. So there's this whole like lore in the book. It's kind of like how Christina in an interview with the vampire basically hunts all of those books, and they use her as like a martyr and like as an excuse to do evil shit because she's like their god or some shit. It's weird. And so like in the play, obviously she doesn't die. At the end, she walks off into like the ether with the if you've seen the play, you already know what's going to happen. The movie is just kind of like a cherry on top of the cake that is the books and the play. But in the play, like she obviously walks off, she fakes her death and all this other stuff. So we're starting where like after she dies. So I'm going to use, every time I mention I'm going to use quotation marks because we don't know if she's actually dead in the books, and we definitely know that she's not dead in the play. So anyways, we start off with after she dies, and Glinda is in Munchkin Land, and they're rejoicing, and they're burning this effigy of her, and like they have this fucking weird ass poster that looks like some green mammy shit. I don't fucking know. I was just like, this feels racist, but the whole thing is about racism, so I guess it makes sense, but it just And so anyways, they're asking Glinda questions like, how can people become evil? And Glinda's like, we can see a flashback back to Elphaba's childhood where basically she was, conceived by adultery and some green liquid, and like she came out green, and her stepdad hated her immediately, and so she grew up the pariah of her family. So her stepdad, we're gonna look at him like we do like a biracial kid with a fucked up white parent. But in the book, like the mom's fucked up too. Like they both don't like her and shit. So she's just grown up in this emotionally abusive household, and then her only like support system is this bear nanny that like takes care of her and loves on her, and she treats her with humanity and shit. So that's why we built that connection to the animals, and the animals have treated her better than humans have. And so like then we get to the real movie. Like, so someone else asks, like, weren't you her friend? Da da da. And then we see this flashback, and then we're getting into the movie. She's showing up at the school for sorcery and witchcraft. It's called Shiz, and her sister is supposed to be going to the school. So her sister is disabled, and they got an actual disabled person to play her sister, which is amazing because apparently they've never done that before. I had no idea they never actually got a real disabled person to play this part. But even the little girl that plays her as a child is disabled, because I saw her on a red carpet and she was in a wheelchair, and I was just like, but then there's this whole part where like the shoes that they make for her are like, you know, they make her walk eventually. So I'm wondering how, like, because Elphaba at some point in the second act of the play, to appease her sister, she makes the shoes that their mother gave them. She makes them so that they can make her walk, right? So I'm just kind of wondering how that will, how are they gonna, and then like how will that go over for people if they like CGI her walking, or like are they gonna, like, I'm curious how that's gonna play out with and within the movie and within the audience. And so anyways, Elphaba is helping her sister into the school. Her dad is overprotective of her, and Elphaba and her sister has to keep telling him, leave her alone. She can do it herself. She don't need her chair pushed. And so anyways, Elphaba's walking into helping her sister in because her dad's like cussing her out and telling her she has to help her sister into the school and keep an eye on her while she's there for like, I don't know, however long. And so she goes into the school. Everybody's looking at her like, oh my gosh, she's green. And I really am just sitting here thinking about like the Wizard of Oz and all the magical creatures in Wizard of Oz. And this green skinned woman is the weirdest shit you've ever seen. I just know, because like literally you got a nigga turned into a tin man, you got the niggas turned into scarecrows, you got niggas turned into, there was a part in the book where somebody was an elephant and they turned themselves into a human so the people would leave them alone. Like, I don't understand. I'm trying to logicalize it, but I can't logicalize. I guess it's human nature to be discriminatory regardless, even if you seeing a bunch of random things around you. I don't fucking know. But anyways, everybody at the school's looking at her like, oh my God, she's green, blah, 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 blah. And so, like, she gives her little speech that she gives to everybody. No, I didn't eat grass. No, blah, 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 I was born this way, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, then here comes Glinda. She's Glinda at this point, and she's coming into the school, and she's being like all like passive aggressive and weird and shit to her, like, oh my gosh, like extra like patronizing and shit, like what happened to you and blah blah, like she cares about the bitch and she doesn't. And just doing this white patriarchy type shit, like it's just stupid. Like she just needs the attention from these people, and you can tell as she walks into school and then she tries to act like she doesn't want people's attention, but she's obviously doing things to get people's attention because she's insecure, and the only way she can feel good about herself is by getting other people's attention and being the most popular bitch in school. She doesn't care what they think, and she really wants to be under Miss Morrible. She's the head of the school or some shit like that. And I'm not going to pronounce these names right. It's not about the pronouncing of the names. These are fictional characters. It's about the story and the racism and what's happening. So if you come on here and be like, oh, it's not pronounced Elphaba, it's pronounced Elphaba. Bitch, I don't give a fuck. You missed the point. It went over your head. Just like it went over your head when the GOAT nigga was mispronouncing the bitch name in class and shit. Like, you missing the point. Like... Anyways, so like they get into the school, and then this teacher is trying to roll Nessa Rose off somewhere, and Elphaba's like, she doesn't need help, da da da, and then the teacher won't listen to her, and so she uses her power. So she's been having power since she came out the womb, and they only spark off when she gets really emotional at this point, because so she can't control her powers and stuff yet. So basically, like, she gets upset, and then she just starts moving shit around and stuff like that, and it moves Nessa's chair, and then Nessa getting an attitude because now she's all in front and center, and she's like, this is my chance to feel normal, and blah, 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 blah. Bitch, you need to just love yourself. Just love yourself. No, because she has this whole arc that irritates me in the second act, and I'm just like, girl, you should have just loved your damn self. And a lot of this shit you're experiencing wouldn't have happened. You would have actually ended up with somebody that genuinely loved you too because you love yourself. But anyways, Anyways, so Madame Morrible sees Elphaba doing this. She pretends like she was the one that did it, and then she tells Elphaba she wants to tutor her privately so that she can like help her mold her power. So Elphaba agrees to this, and then Galinda, whatever fuck her name is, ends up being in roommates with her and volunteering on accident because she thought that Miss Morrible was calling her over in order to like because she want to be taught by Miss Moore, but no, that bitch don't even like her. She doesn't like her at all, not even a little bit. So they end up rooming together. They hate each other. Oh, this feeling uncomfortable. I hate you. Blah blah blah. And so over time, what happens is like, what happens next? This new kid comes to school. Oh wait, no, we introduced the doctor. So this is Goat that teaches the class, and this is what sparks off Elphaba to like, fight for the animals and shit. Because no, like this is her friend, and the animals were the only ones that were really nice to her, and da 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 da. So this doctor, he's like this goat nigga, and he's teaching the class, right? And he's trying to teach history, and he can't pronounce Glinda's name. Because he doesn't have any upper teeth. Like goats don't have upper teeth or some shit, and so he keeps saying Glinda instead of Galinda, because I think the upper teeth got to hit your lip a little bit to say I don't know. And so he's always like, he's saying it wrong, and Glinda's always like, she's sitting up there like, my name's Galinda, and it's like, bitch, shut up. He's trying to teach class. You being a bitch just because she spoke up in class and was asking questions. You wasn't gonna ask no questions, so what does it matter? Like. And that was the only reason she spoke up, just to be a fucking bully and shit. It's like some mean girl shit. And so, like, he's talking, and then he flips the board, and there's some shit about fuck animals and shit. And he feels a type of way. He feels upset, overwhelmed, things like that. So later on, Elphaba follows the doctor into the woods, into the city, into a little town outside the school, and hears him talking to the other animals about how they're trying to discriminate against the animals, and they're trying to get the animals not to talk, and they're trying to do this, that, and the other with the animals, and da 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 da. And so basically, the animals are the niggas of the of the land of the Oz, because it sounds like this is mainly just happening in Oz. This is like a whole world, so. There's other countries, other cities, other things, and where animals, I'm assuming, can talk and be unbothered by the people. And so I think this is mainly just happening in Oz itself. I'm not 100% sure as far as like in the book, but I know in the play it seems like it's just happening in Oz, because the other animals were talking about, well, I'm going to get out of Oz, I'm going to run away. And it was like, okay, girl. And I really think this all started probably because like there was some stuff before the magician came, like they had a drought and wars and shit like that. But I think a lot of this started when the magician came with his white supremacy rhetoric, talking about, oh, well, like the only way to bring people together is to give them a common enemy. But like, why are you trying to trigger people's resentment instead of triggering people's feeling and need for safety? Because if you trigger people's feelings of unsafetyness and resentment and hatred, you're just going to create a world built off of hatred and suspicion. But like it's on purpose. We know it's on purpose. That's the white supremacy goal. So anyway, I think he bought that shit to their country and he put it on the animals. Instead of like, oh, I'm going to pick a skin color, let's put it on the animals. That's easy. Because I want to eat hamburgers and shit. I can't eat hamburgers if the cow is talking to me. Shit, like. Okay, nigga, whatever, bitch. So anyways, she follows him and finds out all this stuff about the animals, and she's just outraged and upset, and she doesn't know what to do. And then on her way back, she runs into this prince on a horse that talks, and his name is Erivo. And they have a little moment in the woods, but then she, it's that meet cute shit where you got a little attitude when you first meet and shit, and you just like, fuck this nigga, he don't really like me. And then the next day, Thiero comes on campus, and he's like the prince from the other city and all this other stuff. And of course, him like Galinda got her eyes on that nigga. And then they sing this song in the library. He's singing this song and destroying books and shit. That pissed me off. Why are you hurting the books? Like, he slapped this book out of this nigga's hand, and I was just like, you better be glad that you figured it out sooner than Glinda did, because I don't got time for this. Anyways, so like him and Glinda are like, we deserve each other. I never want to hear a nigga say that to me. We deserve it. What does that mean? We deserve each other. That doesn't sound romantic or passionate. I don't like it. I don't like how they said we deserve each other. Like, it's some foreshadowing shit. And the thing is that Glinda is not stupid. She just puts on this mask of dopiness, of ditziness, like girly ditzy shit. And the original actress and all the other actresses in the play can play this part very well because they can do the facial expressions that it comes with being ditzy, so they can also adjust their voice to being ditzy, and they can flip back and forth between I'm smart, I'm ditzy, I'm smart, I'm ditzy. But like, because I feel like because Ariana Grande's face can't move, that she just put on this like bland kind of ditzy, like robotic ditzy, to match the fact that her face can't move, unless her face can move and she really just thought this was how to play the character. Because this bitch can do ditzy. She did ditzy all of Victoria Justice, all of Sam and Cat. The bitch knows how to do ditzy. I'm confused. I was confused. Like, why isn't, like, you don't have to be completely Sam. You don't have to be completely that bitch, but you can like throw her on a little bit and add a little, little hyperness to her and a little giggliness and just up it a little bit. But no, it was very bland. It was very like, I'm just like, girl, and them eyes that didn't blink and shit. And I was just like, are we purposely trying to look kind of scary and doll like what's going on? Like, is this, because this is kind of Tim Burton-esque and it's not fitting in with the rest of the people in the movie. Are we trying to like affect this untouchable like persona? Like, I'm an untouchable doll, and I mean, I guess I can see if that's what she was, but it didn't fit with the rest of the people. It just looked weird every time she was on set. So I really just want to believe that she just got too much Botox in her face, and she had to figure out a character to match the fact that she couldn't crinkle her forehead and lift her eyebrows and do the facial expressions that go with being ditzy. But anyways, so, oh God, I'm trying to get through this so it doesn't take too long. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it so it's 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So bear with me. So they're singing this song and they're like, we deserve each other and shit. But the thing is that like, they're both masking. Like, they're both masking as the cool kids of the school. And like it doesn't really go because that's not who they are as people. But she is for the male gaze as well as the everybody else gaze, and so she's gonna do things based off of the male gaze, and it's gonna come across as very shallow. Now, niggas that don't want something deeper than that, they love that shit. They can fuck with you, they can manipulate you, and you could be the smartest bitch in the world, but it don't matter if all you can interact with the world with is with this like shallow mask that you use to get attention. Then it's very hard to see yourself beyond that mask, no matter how smart you are. And so you're gonna start questioning yourself once you lose interest from the people that you want attention from, instead of being smart enough to just be like, oh, well, like maybe I need to be a little bit more, have more depth and be more interesting and shit like that, and have an actual personality and individuality outside of trying to conform to the male gaze and shit. No, instead you're just going to spiral into some toxic place where you think that, oh, it must be something I'm not doing, so maybe I need to try harder. No, it's not. No. I mean, it is technically, but it's like the goal, you shouldn't try harder to be more ditzy and shit. Like, and then you can't put on a fake of affect of like, I care about the world after you've been like ditzy and clueless this whole fucking time. The Arrow, on the other hand, he's got the cool kid persona, but because of his interactions with, and women can't fix men. Like, people can't fix people. Like, people have to choose to be fixed. But when you get some motivation to be a different person, it's up to you to decide to be motivated by that or not. And so his interactions with Elphaba eventually turn into him starting to be more open to the idea of, or actually not even it was already there. Like, he was riding a horse he was talking to and shit like that, to care about the animals and care about their feelings and what's going on, and to be different. And so Elphaba is literally moving through the world as herself. When you are on the lowest of the totem pole, this is why it represents black women so clearly. When you are the lowest on the totem pole, you don't have any obligations to anyone or anything but yourself. And so whatever makes you feel good, you're just going to do it. And so the more that you pour into what makes you feel good, the more it's going to become more individualized and more you. And then people are going to like see that as you being unique and confident. And I guess in a way it is. It's you being unique and confident, but it's mainly you just trying to find things to make yourself feel good because fuck these niggas. And so Elphaba just moved through the world being herself, and that is what will draw people in, not just love interests, but people will be drawn into people that are seemingly unique and different, meaning that they're just being themselves. And that's what Fiero, whatever the fuck his name was drawn into, was her being unique and different, and being by basically her just being herself. And he thought that was just the bee's knees and shit. And then he realized that I care about animals too, and I don't want to pretend to be the cool kid at school and not give a shit about people, and I don't really like that. And that's when he started to lose interest for Galinda, because Galinda is all about her self-righteousness and self-serving ways, and she's selfish. So anyways, he comes into the school, and then he makes this party, this little nightclub situation underneath the ground. Oz something good, whatever light, whatever the fuck it is. And so Nessa Rose is invited by this dude from Munchkin Land. And I feel like Munchkin is probably derogatory for little people too, but because it's so attached to Oz and Wizard of Oz, people don't clock it. But I wonder how little people feel about just Munchkin. I just feel like it ain't right, but whatever, girl. So anyways, Nessa Rose gets invited to dance by this Munchkin dude named Bach. And so Bach has this thing for Galinda, and he's liked her since she got landed at the school. Well, Galinda don't like you, honey, but so he tries to ask Galinda to the dance, and Galinda's like, oh no. Oh, he asked her to save him a dance, and she's like, oh no, but you know who you should take her. Nessa Rose, isn't she tragically beautiful and shit? What a backhanded compliment is that? Don't call nobody tragically beautiful, especially nobody that's disabled and got some shit go. Why would you say that? Rude. And so he goes over there and invites Nessa Rose, literally because he feels bad for her and shit. He tries to say that he doesn't feel bad for her, but he does. You only said that because you saw Galinda kissing on Fiero or whatever his name is, and you felt the type of way, so you was just like, well, fuck her. And then you decide, well, I'll consolation prize, I guess. I don't know, nigga. Should have grew some balls and said, I don't like you like that, so I don't know what you want me to do. All that other shit that happened later on probably wouldn't have happened if you grew some balls and said. But a lot of this is people not in the right time or the right place in their lives to be safe to other people or to themselves. And that's what it is. I've been seeing a lot of commentary online talking about like, oh, Wicked is like a commentary on how we're not all good and not all bad and blah, blah, blah. And Glinda was just in an age where she wasn't ready to like stand up and like protest and stand out and go with Elphaba. She wasn't there yet. And the thing is, okay, so she wasn't there yet. That means that Elphaba shouldn't have been her fucking friend. No, because we all have a period in life where we are a danger to ourselves or to others. We're really deep down in our mental health disorders. We don't like ourselves. We're people pleasing. We want attention, and we want attention so bad that we don't care who we throw under the bus to get attention from the people that we think are better. We're dangerous to other people, especially when you're a white woman doing that. You're the top tier, top of the ladder and shit. You could get people killed, which is what happened. She basically ended up saying, martyring herself and disappearing into the ether with her nigga. And that shit didn't have to happen like that. Like, especially if that white bitch had went with her, they could have worked together to build some shit together. But no, instead, you ended up having her be a pariah because you weren't ready to be upfront and real about who you were and what you stood for. And that just means don't be friends with people that aren't where you're at. That's all that is. No, it's not mean. No, it's not asking too much. It's like me being a 12th grader and you want me to date a ninth grader. Why the fuck would I date a ninth grader? That's fucking weird. That's a child. They just turned 14. Like they were 13 a day ago. That's this. I'm almost 18. Why would I date a ninth grader? You know? And so like, why would I date somebody that like has like is a colorist? So you're a colorist. I've done that before. I've dated somebody and every other word was, oh, I usually like light skinned girls, but you're so pretty. Like, bitch, if you say that shit one more fucking time, I'm never putting myself through that again. Why would I date somebody like that who is obviously not in the place mentally that I'm in? Why would I put myself through those trials and tribulations in order to what, not be alone? Like, I don't see, I can be alone. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I need someone on my level. I need someone that's going to stand on business, that is all, I mean, these are basic human rights. Like, the animals are considered human. So these are basic human rights, like the care of others, the safety of others, the livelihood of others. And you sitting up here trying to defend this nigga that's trying to take these animals' voices away. Like, this should be something that you just ingrainedly are born with, but some people aren't. And if you're not, I don't need you by my side. You don't need to be here, girl. Like, you questioning if it's people should live freely in the world and just, you know, breathe and be unbothered and be safe. Like, you're questioning that. Like, you don't want to stand up and fight for that or say anything about it. Like, you don't need to be around me. Like, I don't understand. Like, so it's not about, oh, I'm looking down on people, because I had my period, my whole 20s, where I was a danger to myself and others. I would throw people under the bus for niggas. I was needy and clingy and annoying and weird, and I was all over the place mental health wise. I was not safe for myself and others. I could not create a safe space for myself and others, and I wouldn't have wanted to be my friend as my 20-year-old self. Like, we all have those errors, and that's why in those errors we just kind of draw other people towards us that are similar. We draw people that are predators because they can use our vulnerability of us not liking ourselves against us. We draw other people pleasers towards us that, you know, oftentimes turn around and will take advantage of us, or we'll take advantage of them, like, because none of us are in a healed space. And then when you start healing, what you start to see is those people start dropping off, because you are starting to see that this behavior is not okay, and they're not in the space to see that. So the only way they can articulate that is, oh, she's bougie, she's a bitch, she's an asshole. And it's like, no, I'm not. I just don't, whatever the fuck this is, like, this looks like it takes a lot of energy to maintain this denial you have about having these types of people in your life and fucking on these types of niggas and doing all this excess shit. And I don't feel like doing this. So I'm going to take my time over here, and you figure that out. You figure that out. And no, doesn't mean we have to cut everybody off that has like issues and problems that cause them to not be safe in certain arenas. No, but it does mean that occasionally I will have people in my life that have issues and problems that I don't want to deal with. And I'll just have very structured relationships with them where I don't see them as often. I don't tell them as much about what I'm doing and where I'm going or how I feel and shit like that. And I set very strict boundaries. Like, if I don't want to do some shit with you, I'm going to immediately say no. Like, and it is what it is. And most of the time, them people don't even know. Them people don't even know that I don't see you as safe and like that. And I've put you in a certain category because I play it off very well. I'm not going to treat you fucked up to your face. I'm just not going to see you as a safe person in my mind and act accordingly when I need to. So Glenda wasn't a safe person. And so Glenda was in her bad person era. And she was hurtful and mean and self-centered. And yeah, like, they went to the party and they danced and she cried, and I was just like, people talking about, I cried at that, I wish I would cry on a oppressor's shoulder. She was mean to her the whole fucking time, and now suddenly we're gonna be like, oh, she danced with me in front of people. Bitch, you gave her a spot in the class she wanted. You are a people pleaser, and you gave her, after she humiliated you with that fucking hat, and you did nice shit for her after she was being mean to you the whole time, and all she had to do was give you a crumb when the crumb was still making fun of you, and you was just like, no, let me do some extra nice shit, and I want her to be just as powerful as me. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with having that mentality of humanizing people, but it's like, that doesn't mean that you just give and give and give just because you've humanized the person. Yeah, I see you as a human, but I also see you as a human that is not in their good person era. You're not in your decent, kind person era. You're in your bad person era where you would throw me under the bus and do hurtful things to me, and you've been doing it this whole time. And so, no, I'm not just going to randomly do nice shit for you like that. I'll be cordial. I'll be a little bit more cordial because you gave me a hat, but like, I'm not doing extra shit for you. Like, and I happen to like the hat, and I can style the hat and make the hat fit me in a way that it will never fit you. But you know, like, that whole scene was just like, bitch, whatever, fuck this bitch. No, because it's like Regina George. This is mean girl activity. You don't just go one day, like the whole time you've been mean to me, and then one day you do one nice thing, and now all of a sudden we're besties. Girl, I done seen you at your worst. So that means that I'm literally, because you haven't been to therapy or worked through a lot of this shit, it's only been literally a day. Like, I'm literally just waiting within this friendship to trigger you enough for you to be pushed over the edge and do some foul shit to me, which is what she did. And so it's like, I don't just trust people off the top. I trust patterns of behavior. You show me a pattern of behavior over a long period of time, I'm going to believe that pattern until I've seen you do integral work to change that shit around. Therapy, like you nicer to yourself, you nicer to people, you nicer to me. Like, I need to see that for a long period of time before I believe the pattern has changed. And so, no, that whole crying scene was like, why are you crying on the shoulders of your oppressor, honey? Like, why are you, just because we're sitting here waiting for these white people to give us fucking crumbs and shit, and you really are just excited? It's like your abuser. You get abused, and then the next day they're love bombing you with like a flower that they found on the ground. Or they're taking you out to dinner and shit, but they've been mean to you for like a week, and now they're taking you out to dinner and whatever, and it's like, and then you think they've changed, and they maybe can hold it for about a week or two and pretend to be nice, and then they're back to, that's what abusers do. And so you're not gonna be mean to me this whole time, do one little thing, and then expect me to be like, oh girl, my gosh, what, friends, besties, best friends, bitch, no. And so that whole scene was just contrived and stupid. Like, no, like, I'm not gonna be your bestie. Like, you know, Glenda gets it together eventually, but she doesn't get it together till around the end. And I just feel like, because the thing is, in the second act, Glenda tells Madame Morrible and you know, the magician, that if Elphaba's sister is in danger, then Elphaba will come. So if we make her think her sister's in danger, then she'll come. So you still want her to surrender herself to these people and continue to let the people like take the animals' voices and shit. You don't have no plans to get them to stop taking the animals' voices and all this other shit. So that's what I'm hearing here. And then what happens is, because one nefarious thing leads into the next nefarious thing, is what they did was they took your idea and they doubled it, and they said, let's bring a house and drop it on her. And then that's what they did. So I don't like, no, it's like, I was watching this show. It's called The Righteous Gemstones. It's so good. It's so funny. It's on HBO Max, and it's about this evangelical Christian family, and the dad is John Goodman, and he's the pastor of this church, and it's just hijinks and narcissism, and they just be doing fucked up shit to each other, going to jail. The dad got shot over some shit the son has set up, and it was all some shit. But like, in the last season, this is the third season, there's gonna be a fourth, but the third season, I thought they had wrapped shit up, but apparently there's gonna be a fourth. But in the last season, this is a spoiler, the last couple episodes of the last season, they basically heal. The family heals, and they admit to their wrongs, and they admit to their problems and issues, and they work on themselves. Big spoiler, the person that we thought was gay is allowed to be gay and everything. And like, I was just like, that's what they want us to do. That's why people watch those types of shows, those narcissistic white men that are just keep doing shit and fucking up their lives and then get no consequences. That's why people like watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. These narcissistic white men just keep fucking up and doing what they want and getting their way, and there's never any real consequences, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on and on. And the only thing they can do is either keep going on like The Simpsons, or it'll fizzle out like whatchamacallit, Breaking Bad, and the bad guy actually ends up getting what's his. And so the fact that they brought it together, I was just like, so this is what they want. They want us to eventually just be okay with the past behavior and get to this point where we are forgiving of this shit, and like we can all be friends and it's copacetic and fine. But the thing is like during the course of the Righteous Gemstones, like the dad like almost dies twice because of some shit the kids got into. These grown ass kids, because they're doing nefarious fucked up shit. And so you want me to put myself in a position with somebody that's in their bad person era to where I could potentially get harmed because they're dangerous, just for the sake of, oh, but they're still good on the inside. They're just figuring themselves out. You can figure your fucking self out without me, bitch. I'm not going to be there as you figure yourself out when you're in your bad person era, especially if it's that dangerous to where I could potentially die. I could potentially get harmed. I could potentially get stranded somewhere or some stupid shit. I'm tired. Like, I get agitated very easily. Like, I get agitated over the smallest thing. If I think I'm late somewhere, I start damn near having a panic attack. Like, I realize, like, now that I'm more healed, I can feel everything in my body. And as soon as I get overwhelmed, I can feel exactly what it's doing in my body. Whereas before, I was dissociating every time I was triggered. I couldn't feel it. I was sleeping and dissociating. But now I can feel it, and I can feel how agitating it is to the point where I can't be around people that's going to be agitating me all the time over some stupid shit that could have easily been solved if you had just opened your fucking mouth and said the thing. I don't live that life, and I don't want people that around me that don't say the thing. I don't care. And so if you're not in that place of healing where you cannot say the thing and just get it the fuck over with, don't come around me, because I had to work through on myself, and to be able to see that it's possible to go from a place where you couldn't say the thing and you were overwhelmed and you were internalizing everything and you were blaming yourself for stuff all the time, to this point where, no, if I feel something, I'm just gonna say it. I don't give a fuck. If I like you, I'm gonna say I like you. If you don't like me back, I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna say I'm hungry. If I'm cold, I'm gonna say I'm cold. If I don't want to go somewhere, I'm just gonna say I don't want to go somewhere. If I don't want something, I'm gonna say no. And I'm not gonna hesitate to do those things. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I'm gonna ask you the question if I want to ask you the question. Like, depending on the setting, it's gonna depend on whether it's asked in a professional way or if it's asked in a regular way. But like, I don't want people around me like Glenda in her bad era. Like, I don't feel like dealing with that. I don't have the energy for that. Some people can. If you can deal with somebody like that that's always doing shit and throwing you under the bus and betraying you randomly because they're insecure about themselves inside and they need this outside validation that bad to the point where it's like a drug, and they will throw whoever they need to throw under the bus to get their fucking fix, then you be with that person. You be their friends. You be their lovers. You be their confidants, bitch. I'm not doing any of that. So anyways, they do the dance. It's stupid. No, because why are we like crying on the shoulders of our oppressor? Like, why are you really that happy? I mean, but I can remember being there, and that little crumb after someone's been mean to you for so long, and people have been mean to you for so long, and that little tiny crumb of niceness feels like the sun, because you've never had it before, except for that one bear that was your nanny and shit. You never had it before, and so I get it, but it's cringy to watch that's how I used to be. That's why I didn't like it, because it's cringy to see how you used to be. It is like, oh my gosh, I used to be happy for little crumbs like that too. I used to have a little teardrop when I got a little crumb of kindness. A little one French fry out of the box of French fries. Shit. I hated it for her, and she didn't even realize what was going on, because she's still stuck in her shit where she needs validation, but she doesn't need validation as badly as Glinda does, to the point where she would throw people under the bus. So anyways, the next day they're in class, and this is when the goat doctor gets arrested and animals can't help teach class and all this other stuff, and this causes Elphaba to have like a whole panic attack and magic, and she puts everybody to sleep. And her and Fiyero go into the woods, and they take this little baby cub into the woods that had been in a cage, and they release in the woods, and they have like a little meet cute moment again. But then she's like, "Oh, he can't like me because I'm green," and da 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 da. And I mean, whatever, girl. Like, I get it. Niggas is trash. But he likes her. He does. He likes her, and he's starting to pull away from Galinda, and Galinda doesn't understand why. And like, Madame Morrible has sent a letter off to the magician, and so finally, the magician answers, and Elphaba gets to go see the magician, right? And so, like, she's on this train, and it's cool because they said that they built the whole set so the actors can interact with the sets like they would in a stage play. That's so cool. Like, the way they set it up was really cool. And so the whole train is real, right? And so, like, she's on the train, like, she's about to get on the train, and here comes Galinda, and Galinda starts to change her name to Glinda because Fiyero came along and was, like, making woo-woo eyes at Elphaba and shit. And like, she wanted to be seen and known and heard, and so like, she tells everybody that she's changing her name to Glinda to honor the goat doctor. I have absolutely no idea what his name is. I forgot. Don't judge me. The goat doctor. And so she's like, I'm Glinda now, and she just like you could tell she don't like being Glinda. And so Elphaba gets on the train, and Glinda gives her this card. I forgot what was on it, but she said something, good luck, congratulations, some shit. And so Elphaba gets on the train, right? And then Elphaba's like, come with me, Glinda. And I'm just like, girl. I mean, like, I guess it's better that Glinda was there with her anyways, because she was like blocking shit and stuff, and she played defense and shit. so Elphaba could make her escape. She didn't mean to, but she was a good distraction. So anyways, she gets there, and the original bitches from the original play was there. Oh my gosh. So magical. They were doing this little song in a town square about like the original like wise people, magical wise people of Oz and all this other shit. And I was just like, yes, bitch. And she sang that little note she sang, and she gave us a little snippet of it. I was just like, yes, bitch. I wish I had been into, Wicked when it first came out. I would have probably went to the play when I could have seen the actual performers that originated it just one time. That would have been so amazing. But they were in it. I was just like, that's just so. And then they stood by their counterparts and shit, and it was so cute. And they did this little musical number, and they go into the Wizard of Oz house and shit, castle situation. And they meet the wizard, and of course he got the little animatronic head. He comes out from behind the head, and he's just this man that comes from America, bringing his bullshit and white peopleness shit and white supremacy shit. No, I don't care, because the thing is that this is what it is. This is what this is representing, and especially it's so poignant that a black woman, a dark-skinned black woman, is playing this part, even though I don't like her. And I've come to terms with that, because the thing is that all of that behavior that she was displaying is what white adjacents do. It's people that want to be close to whiteness because they feel that it will give them safety. And everyone that has ever gotten close to whiteness because they feel it will give them safety has always learned a lesson. It's taken a while, but they've learned it. Just like the Asians learned it when they wanted to get rid of affirmative action, and now their kids aren't getting into colleges like they have been before. Bitch, black people did that for everybody, just as black people do. Just like Elphaba did for Glinda. She wanted Glinda to have the classes with her. She wanted Glinda to go to the wizard with her. Because she sees you as an equal. She didn't realize that bitch didn't see her as an equal, and that's what we got to understand. These people do not see us as equal, but a lot of times people that have not experienced it like black folks have, we've had 400 years of this oppressiveness right in our face as slaves. And so so like black people that did not, I mean, people that did not experience that on a consistent basis for hundreds of years to the point where your culture was ripped away from you and you had to recreate your own culture is not going to get it until it happens to them. And when it happens, it's glorious. I just feel like it's glorious that you get to see what we get to see, because the more of you that get to see it, that adds to the army that we need to create to fight against it. And so, she gonna see. She gonna see, just like Miles Morales saw when that bitch Gwen Stacy and Spider-Verse broke into his house, jumped on his bed, opened his figurines, messed up his room, didn't ask how he was doing, chose to be on the other side, didn't care that he missed her, and then chose Miguel and his plan over this nigga. And the only one that saved him was who? The black woman. Yes, it was. And the whole time I was just like, well, I mean, that's what they do. Why are we surprised that Gwen Stacy turned on him? That's what white women do, just like Glenda did. What? Just like Glenda did. Like, why are we always surprised that these white people turn on you? Like I think it's not surprise, it's foolishness. You feel foolish for trusting them when you knew you shouldn't. You knew you shouldn't have trusted these white people, but you didn't listen to your instincts. You wanted to believe in your heart that these people that are on top of the mountain and has everything, they finally want you up there too. And so you rode with it and you rode with it and you rode with it until eventually you realize that they don't want you up there too, honey. They just want to take what you got. That's all. They just like in Lovecraft Country when she turned into a white woman. I'm always gonna mention that. I don't care. And she realized that they do this to themselves. This is a cultural thing. Yes, it is a cultural thing, because when you live your life based off power and control for thousands of years, ever since Rome tried to take over Europe, and then the Crusades, and then colonization and slavery and shit like that, when you back to back violence like that within your own culture, you're going to develop this as a cultural thing. Your power and control is a thing that they built into their culture. It's epigenetics. It's been passed. Trauma has been passed down genetically in white people, just how it's been passed down from slavery in black people. And so, yeah, I always have a little grain of salt for white person. I don't care if I know you forever. Cause the grain of salt helps me not be surprised if you turn on me. I'm not gonna do anything to make you turn on me. I'm gonna treat you like a regular ass person. But as soon as I see signs of you turning on me, I'm locked and loaded, bitch. I'm ready. I'm not fucking Elphaba. You give me a crumb after treating me fucked up for how long? And be like, oh, I'm gonna give you the word. This is all I have to give, and I'm gonna give it to you. Well, fuck that shit, bitch. I don't believe you do a little something nice for me. I'll do a little something nice for you. Shit, I would have got her a card. You gave me a hat, I'll get you a card, honey. Cost 25 cents. We're gonna match for match until I feel safe. And if you never make me feel safe enough to be bigger than that, then oh well. Because no, you're not going to move me into believing that you changed until I've seen the change for a long period of time and there's a pattern of it. And so, this isn't a surprise. Like, it's like how white people are surprised when there's a serial killer in the neighborhood. And I'm just like, well, when you have the epigenetics of power and control based off all the violence that your people have perpetuated around the earth for thousands of years, what happens is that breeds narcissism and sociopathy into your genetic gene pool, because trauma is passed down genetically. You are pregnant, and when the pregnant person is being traumatized while they're pregnant, the baby is then bombarded with the stress hormone cortisol. And so now the baby is being born with very high levels of cortisol and stress in their system, that if they're born into an even more traumatizing environment, makes them even more susceptible for other mental health issues, because they're already born stressed out. And it can be reversed if they're born into a calming, safe environment and the environment stays safe. But as you see, white people have been perpetuating this for thousands of years, so a lot of them don't feel safe. So I don't understand why they get surprised when Chad is a serial killer. Most serial killers are white men. How they call Ted Bundy attractive when he's not. The first time Ted Bundy escaped from prison was because they let him sit in the law library with the window open because he said he was going to be his own lawyer for himself for his murder cases and stuff. And so he said, I want to sit in the law library and study some law things so I can learn more about my case and what to do with it. And so they let him sit in a law library in the courthouse to study his cases. And the window was open and he jumped out because he's just a nice looking white man. Nice looking. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like if you just looked at patterns and took people for their patterns of behavior, the world would be a much safer place. And so no, like I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. Like I know Elphaba was shocked and surprised that Glenda didn't want to come with her and all this. I was just like, why? When Gwen Stacy did what she did on Spider-Verse, I was just like, why are you mad about? Why are you surprised? This is what white people do. This is what they do, honey. Like this is bred into these people to turn on you, to use you emotionally, to take from you. Like, why is this shocking? I am never shocked, but like they make these black characters shocked every single time, just like white people are shocked every single time. Like they don't remember that most serial killers are white men. Like I'm confused. So when they got up in there and he did his little song and showed him his little model like a fucking child, there's nothing wrong with models, there's nothing wrong with songs, but the depravity of him trying to take these animals' voices. So you're a fucking child now. That adds to it. That adds to you being childish. And then he shows her the Grimoire, the book that has all the magic in it, but nobody can read it, and tricks her into giving the monkeys wings, and she's freaking out because the monkeys are hurting and shit. And then she realizes that he ain't got no magic. He's a lie. He's been a lie. And then, of course, Glenda turns on her and is like, well, I'm sure he has his reasons and and no, bitch, believe what's in your face. But you know what? Of course you're going to fall for the white supremacy rhetoric. And so... Oh God, I'm sure like most people are probably would have shut this video off by now that don't enjoy. Oh, some white folks gonna come on here and be like, oh, it's a wicked review by a therapist. I know it is. That sounds so interesting. I know it does. I want to learn what the therapist thinks about me. I know you do. And then you just hear white supremacy this, white supremacy that, white people that. Like, what do you mean? Like, read a book, and you'll know. Google is free. So anyway, she's running off down the halls. They got the monkeys chasing after her, and then she do her big bit in the attic with the balloon and shit. And then she turned a broom into a flying broom, and she flying around and doing all this extra shit. And then she sing her song in the sky and do that note that everybody love. And she's like, I'm free. Fuck y'all niggas. And she flies the fuck off. And of course they turn on her and they telling everybody, oh, she's an evil, green, wicked bitch. Don't believe anything she said. And I'm still confused on what exactly did she do outside of stealing the Grimoire and like flying off. And like I think kidnapping but she didn't, like Dorothy went up in her house, like, so I'm detaining you because you broke into my house. So I'm still confused because like Nessa Rose did a lot of the shit that would to the Munchkins. Like she was taking away their rights and shit like that because she inherited Munchkin, like governing of the Munchkin land after her dad had the heart attack and shit. And she got really bitter and cold because she wanted Bach to stay with her and shit. And so like she basically prohibited the Munchkins from doing a bunch of shit because she wanted Bach to stay with her. And I'm just like, and that was orchestrated by Glenda too. Like you told that nigga to talk to her because he didn't like her, instead of just telling this nigga you don't like him like that and can he leave you alone. You didn't have to point her out. You didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to involve Nessa Rose. You could have just been, I don't really like you like that, but thank you. Yeah, I will look you dead in the face and tell you that. And if you try to fight me, well, I'm a big bitch. Let's fight, nigga. No, I feel like my trauma is waiting for a moment where I can just black out and just like stab somebody. That's why I just don't want to be triggered. Like, leave me alone. Don't push me. Don't bother me. I don't bother nobody. Don't bother me. Like, what's the problem with that? I don't think that's asking a lot. Oh, be messing with you and trying to make you feel a type of way about yourself and shit. Don't come over here, see me reading a book, and then be like asking me stupid ass questions or passive aggressively saying stupid shit, trying to get on my nerves because I'm reading a book and you feel a type of way because I can do shit by myself and you can't. like what the fuck is okay? And I was like, that was Glenda too. Like you didn't have to send him his that way. But she was in her bad person era, and so that's why I can't fuck with people in their bad person era. Like and the thing is, it's not that, it's the emotion. It's not the emotion. Like you can be sad, you can be depressed, you can be anxious, you can be insecure. It's what you choose to do with those emotions. I get depressed, I go take a nap. I might isolate myself for a little bit and I'll communicate like I need some space and stuff like that. You get depressed, you go and you try to down a whole bottle of Don Julio and fuck a bunch of bitches. That's not safe. You get anxious and then you get irritable because you're anxious and then you start calling niggas names and shit and talking shit about people and being derogatory and shit. I get anxious and then I just start taking deep breaths and, maybe sitting down and maybe just getting a little distance from people if I'm in a group and just counting to 10 and shit until I feel calmer. See how that's different? Like, I don't want people around me that choose to deal with their challenging emotions in fucked up ways that will end me up in trouble or in danger. I want people around me that choose to deal with their challenging emotions that have learned, because this is a learning thing, because children aren't born knowing the names of their emotions. They just feel them. And if no one teaches them the names of their emotions, like a lot of men do, they funnel it through anger. Like a lot of women do, we funnel it through being needy and clingy and desperate and all this other random shit that the patriarchy makes us feel. No. I want someone who has taken the time on themselves to learn how to deal with their challenging emotions in as positive a way as possible. Now, are you perfect? No. Will you fuck up sometimes? Yes. But will those fuck ups land in the betrayal, criminal, murder area? Most likely not. It's less likely to happen. If you already worked on your shit enough to where you got it pretty safe. Now, will you pop off and yell at me? Sometimes. One day, probably. Will I pop off and yell at you? Probably. But we can still work through that. When it's over here and you've cheated on me because you felt insecure and you felt like, oh, I need to know that I still got it and I don't feel like I got it, and she makes more money than me and I feel insecure about that, and so I'm gonna fuck this McDonald's bitch with the big booty and shit because she make less money than me and she got a big ass and that makes me feel superior. I don't want that shit. That's not self-control. That's why when they be like, all men cheat, no, because then you're saying no man has self-control. When you say all men cheat, you're saying no man has self-control. And don't be like, oh no, when it comes to cheat. No, one nefarious thing opens the door for other nefarious things. I was watching this movie, I think it's called The Rental on Netflix. It's this horror movie. And literally it's these two couples, right? And two of the dudes are brothers. And the girlfriend of one of the brothers is a business partner to the other brother. And so these two feel a type of way about the business partnership. They think there's some vibes there that are off, but they're trying to like believe that these two ain't fucking. During the course of staying at the cabin, right, the Airbnb or whatever, they end up fucking while the other couple partners are asleep. And then the next day, the girl that fucked her business partner, she's in the shower and she sees a camera in the shower head. And she tells her business partner, because the other two of the couple had just went hiking. So they were in the house by themselves. The other two of the couple went hiking. They have a lot of trust in each other. Obviously they shouldn't have. But anyways, So she's like, oh my gosh, there was a camera in the shower. We need to call the police. And then the nigga's like, no, because we fucked in the shower. Like, we're going to get in trouble. See how one nefarious thing led to another nefarious thing? Because what happens eventually is they all end up murdered by the nigga that put the camera in there. And, if they had just said it the day of and called the police and left that day, they probably wouldn't have been murdered. What? So they decide not to say anything because they got one more night there, and they're just gonna we're just gonna avoid the shower and they're gonna go home tomorrow and they'll be fine. And that was the night everybody was murdered. And I was just like thinking about it. I was just like, you know what? Like when you open yourself up for one nefarious thing, that can lead to other nefarious things. Because now you feel like, oh, well, I'm open-minded to the idea of doing fucked up shit. Well, maybe I can be talked into other fucked up shit. And it's like, no, like, I don't fuck with nefarious shit. I don't fuck with betrayal. I don't fuck with cheating. I don't fuck with liars. I don't fuck with murder. I don't fuck with criminal shit. Like, you selling drugs, you stealing shit. No, because that shit can lead to other bullshit. There are people that have been serial cheaters that have turned out to be serial killers. Like, but you never know where the red flag will lead. You just know that the red flag that you're seeing will lead somewhere fucked up. And it all depends on the person and what their edge is. Now, with Glenda, we see the red flags and we see her edge. Her edge is to constantly throw niggas under the bus. So, when you get pushed over the edge, right? Like, I was pushed over the edge and I lost control. Her pushed over the edge and losing control is to throw niggas under the bus. We've seen it. We felt it. We experienced it. So now I'm going to keep a good distance from you. I'm not about to be close to you like that. I don't like you like that. But we don't always know what everyone else's edge is. So the edge of a cheater, let's just use cheating. The edge of a cheater, one nigga could just be a fuckboy and they just like fucking bitches and they just got some kind of issue and they need to work on that. And so the whole relationship, he just gonna be cheating on you and shit. Okay. You putting up with that, so you have to go through BV, vaginitis, random STDs, and all sorts of shit that you putting up with to deal with this nigga. That's how far the nefariousness goes. Another nigga could turn that into, you keep asking me about me cheating on you, and now he's beating your ass and shit. So now you in a relationship where you saw the cheating in the beginning, you didn't do nothing about it, and now you in a physically abusive situation, but you didn't know in the beginning that he would be physically abusive. All you saw was the red flag of cheating. You could go into another lane with another nigga that it started with the cheating, and now you're dead. So, like, nefarious, I don't do that. Like, I don't, and maybe it's black and white to some people, but I don't do shit like that. Like, those are hard stops. Like, you can have flaws. You can have mental health issues. You can have moments where, like, you have trouble communicating occasionally and we got to work through some shit. But nefarious, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not doing shit that ends me up in danger where I don't feel safe and I don't feel happy in my situation or content. Because the goal isn't happiness. Happiness is an extreme. We want content. Occasionally happy things will happen. I went to Hawaii. It was fun. But as soon as I got back, went back to content. I'm content and okay with where I'm at in life. Sometimes sad things happen. Somebody died. I got an fender bender. Stay down here for a little bit. Raise back up to contentment eventually with our coping skills and the shit we do to work on it. But like, I don't do nefarious shit. I don't do betrayal shit. I don't do criminal shit. I don't do shit that could put me in danger, put my life in danger, put my mental health in danger, put my well-being in danger. And I'm not going to do that shit to somebody else. Because I've worked on myself enough to actively make sure every single day that I check myself and my mental health and see where I'm at. And it's just a thought. It's not, I don't be journaling and shit. Like I told y'all, writing is not my fixation. I be checking myself when I feel overwhelmed. I be asking myself, what's making me feel overwhelmed right now? Oh, okay. What do I need to do about it? Okay, I need to go take a second. Or I need to tell them that this is bothering me. Or, I might not need to hang out with this person anymore. But every time I feel overwhelmed, I check myself. And I realize what it is usually when I check myself. We got people out here not checking themselves on a regular basis because that's consistent maintenance of your mental health, is constantly just checking in with yourself. That's what mindfulness is. I'm just constantly checking in with myself when I feel emotions that feel overwhelming. Or just even when I feel happy, I'm checking in with the happiness and diving deeper into that just to feel like even happier and shit. But I'm just the same way we take a shower every day, like we supposed to. Anyways, like some people take it every other day. Like that's as far as I'm gonna go with the shower thing. Every other day, that's it. Just like we brush our teeth, we drink water, we maintain our body every single day. Why would you not think to maintain your emotions every single day? And the thing is that everything that we maintain, we were taught how to maintain. We were taught to drink water. We were taught to take a shower. We were taught to eat certain foods that are good for our body. So, but none of us are being taught how to maintain our emotions as children. And so we out here just letting our emotions run wild and being impulsive, just like Glenda was. And every time I feel challenged, I need my fix to make me feel better because I don't want to feel this challenging emotion. If you just learn to sit in your emotions and just sit with it and be sad or be angry or whatever, and just think about how it's making you feel. Where is it coming from? What do you need right now, like, to help you through this? It may not stop it, but it might take the edge off and help you through this. You'll be so much better because then you won't be scared of challenging emotions, especially not scared enough to do some impulsive shit that can get you in trouble. And then nobody can ever use your challenging emotions against you. I may walk around looking sad all day, but you're not going to manipulate my sadness. You come up to me and start talking some bullshit and try to gaslight me or manipulate my sadness because you think my sadness is a weakness and it makes me needy and clingy and shit. You gonna be in for a welcome surprise because I will definitely cuss you the fuck out and be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I'm not interested. No, leave me, no. Or like when I feel really safe, I'm really ditzy and really childish and really just like random and goofy and shit. And people see that and they think they can take advantage of that. And as soon as they try to cross that and see, they see that I'm not as ditzy as you thought I was. I just felt safe. And apparently I can't feel safe in this space, so now I have to be the bitch. And now you gonna go tell everybody I'm a bitch. And okay, well. You done fucked up my safe space, bitch. Like, I can't even, like, usually if I'm walking around with a dopey smile on and I'm just chilling, usually I feel pretty safe and I'm just, like, chilling. And you just came up to me and you thought that I was just, like, an easy target because I was smiling, and you thought that I was gonna, like, be taken advantage of by your smooth words and your bullshittery. Like, no, sir. Now I have to turn on the bitch. I have to turn on the adult in me because I often will let my inner child lead when I'm safe and just let my inner child play. And then I really feel like it's the adult in us is the person that comes out when we need to protect our inner child. Like that's the person that sets the boundaries. That's the person that advocates and stands up for you and shit like that. Your inner child is just the little adventurous person that lives inside of you that just wants to have fun and have adventures and do random shit and stuff like that. And when I find spaces where I can just let my inner child just play and be free, like, don't ruin that shit for me. Because it's a rare space that I can find that, especially if there's people in that space and they're not bothering me like in a fucked up way, like I can really just enjoy myself here. Like, oh, like when I go to the chiropractor, like that feels like a safe space to me. Like I just be like, oh, this is nice. I can be here. They just fixing my back. It's nice. I don't have to think too hard when it's a safe space. But then you come to me and now I have to think, and now I have to put the bitch mask on, and now you're gonna be like, he's a bitch. It's like, what fuck you. Like when I go to the Korean spa, like that's a safe space, and don't come up and say stupid shit to me when I'm in my safe spaces. And try to get me to do stupid shit. Like I'm not saying like a regular conversation. You know what niggas be doing. Like, don't take it and be like, oh, it's okay, nobody's... No, that's not what I'm saying. No, see, look, you making it weird. Being rude, being derogatory, being, like, invasive, like, shit like that. Like, why are you're weird. So, anyways, that was what this movie was about. Being in a bad person era and expecting people to cape for that and being okay with that. And learning that you don't need to cape for these people in their bad person eras. You can just be your own fucking person and get the hell away from these people. It is what it is. And that's what Elphaba did. But she kept being like swayed by Glinda and throughout the story. And I just wish that she would just let that bitch go. Just let that bitch go. I mean, like I said, Glinda figures it out eventually. But like literally in the book, like we not sure if that bitch is dead or not. But it seemed like she dead in the book. And it's like a bitch had to die for her to figure it out. And I'm just like, I'm not going to be in any situations where I have to martyr myself for you to learn some shit. Martyr your own fucking self. Why I gotta be cause I'm the black bitch, I'm the black one. So I had to martyr myself so you can figure your shit out. Like, bitch, get the fuck away from me. Like, I'm not a person or a human being or my life doesn't matter and shit. Like, only yours and your life lessons matter. Me and my life lessons, they don't fucking matter and shit. You got me fucked up. I don't care. And also remembering that proximity to whiteness will not save you. It will never save you. And it may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen a month from now. But eventually, you will see your downfall by thinking that proximity to whiteness is going to save you. It's not. It will not. It will never, ever save you. But yeah, let me know what you think of this review. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things. And thank you for watching my reviews. And I hope you watched the other reviews that I posted. Next week, we're back to Abbott Elementary. That's the show I've been on. And I like that show. That's a good show. But it was fun to be able to just do some movies though, like throw some movies in there, because I can see how it can get kind of boring, especially if you don't watch Abbott Elementary and shit. It'd be like, you just doing the same show every week. I like Abbott Elementary. I don't care. It's my soothing show. It's my calm show. It helps keep me nice and stable, and you don't have to think too hard or too much and shit like that, and it's relaxing and it ain't nothing wrong with it. I don't care what you're talking about. But next week they having an hour-long special, Christmas special or something. I'm guessing that they're not going to have a show the week after, or maybe they are. I know they go on breaks for the holidays, so I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think, and later days.